So we are on the section called Dissolutions. The first section is called The End of the Microcosm, and this is the fourth chapter of the cosmogonic cycle. The mighty hero of extraordinary powers, able to lift Mount Gopharhan on a finger, and to fill himself with the terrible glory of the universe, is each of us not the physical self visible in the mirror, but the king within. Krishna declares, I am the self seated in the hearts of all creatures. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. This precisely is the sense of the prayers for the dead at the moment of personal dissolution, that the individual should now return to his pristine knowledge of the world creative divinity, who during life was reflected within his heart. When he comes to weakness, whether he came to weakness through old age or through disease, this person frees himself from these limbs just as a mango or a fig or a berry releases itself from its bond, and he hastens again according to the entrance and place of origin back to life. As noblemen, policemen, chariot drivers, village heads wait for food, drink, and lodgings for a king who is coming, and cry, here he comes, so indeed do all things wait for him who has this knowledge, and cry, here is the imperishable coming, here is the imperishable coming. The idea is sounded already in the coffin texts of ancient Egypt, where the dead man sings of himself as one with God. I am Atum, I who was alone, I am Re, as his first appearance. I am the great God, self-generator, who fashioned his names, Lord of gods, whom none approaches amongst the gods. I was yesterday, I know tomorrow. The battlefield of the gods was made when I spoke. I know the names of that great God who is therein. Praise of Re is his name. I am that great phoenix which is in Heliopolis. But as in the death of the Buddha, the power to make a full transit back through the epochs of emanation depends on the character of the man when he was alive. The myths tell of a dangerous journey of the soul, with obstacles to be passed. The Eskimos in Greenland enumerate a boiling kettle, a pelvis bone, a large burning lamp, monster guardians, and two rocks that strike together and open again. Such elements are standard features of world folklore and heroic legend. We have discussed them before in our chapters of the adventures of the hero. They have received their most elaborate and significant development in the mythology of the soul's last journey. An Aztec prayer to be said at the deathbed warns the departed of the dangers along the way back to the skeleton god of the dead. He of the falling hair, dear child, thou hast passed through this and survived the labors of this life. Now it hath pleased our Lord to carry thee away, for we do not enjoy this world everlastingly, only briefly. Our life is like the warming of oneself in the sun, and the Lord hath conferred on us the blessing of knowing and conversing with each other in this existence. But now, at this moment, the God and the goddess have transported thee away. Thou art brought before his seat, for we all must go there. That place is intended for us all, and it is vast. We are to have of thee no further recollection. Thou wilt reside in that place most dark, where there is neither light nor window. Thou wilt not return or depart from thence, nor wilt thou think about or concern as for ourselves, we shall soon be going there where thou art to be. The Aztec ancients and officials prepared the body for the funeral, and then they had properly wrapped it, took a little water and poured it on the head, saying to the deceased, "This thou didst enjoy when thou wert living in the world." And they took a small jug of water and presented it to him, saying, "Here is something for thy journey. Thy set it in the fold and the shroud." Then they wrapped the deceased in his blankets, secured him strongly, and placed before him, one at a time, certain papers that had been prepared. "Lo, with this thou wilt be able to go between the mountains that clash. With this thou wilt pass along the road where the serpent watcheth. This will satisfy the little green lizard, and behold, with this thou wilt make the transit of the 8 deserts and freezing cold. Here is that by which thou wilt go across the 8 small hills. Here is that by which thou wilt survive the wind of the obsidian knives." The departed was to take a little dog with him of bright reddish hair. Around his neck they placed a soft thread of cotton. They killed it and cremated it with the corpse. The departed swam on this little animal when he passed the river of the underworld. And after 4 years of passage, he arrived with it before the god to whom he presented his papers and gifts, whereupon he was admitted together with his faithful companion to the 9th abyss. The Chinese tell of a crossing of the fairy bridge under guidance of the Jade Maiden and the Golden Youth. The Hindus picture a towering firmament of heavens and a many-leveled underworld of hells. The soul gravitates after death to the story appropriate to its relative density, there to digest and assimilate the whole meaning of its past life. When the level has been learned, it returns to the world to prepare itself for the next degree of experience. Thus, gradually, it makes its way through all the levels of life value until it has broken past the confines of the cosmic egg. Dante's Divina Commedia is an exhaustive review of the stages: Inferno, the misery of the spirit bound to the prides and actions of the flesh; Purgatorio, the process of transmuting fleshly into spiritual experience; and Paradiso, the degrees of spiritual realization. A deep and awesome vision of the journey is that of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The man or woman who has died is identified with the actually and is called Osiris. The text opens with hymns of praise to Re and Osiris, and then proceeds to the mysteries of the unswathing of the spirit in the world beneath. In the chapter of giving a mouth to Osiris, we read the phrase, "I rise out of the egg in the hidden land." This is the announcement of the idea of death as a rebirth. Then, in the chapter of opening the mouth of Osiris, the awakening spirit prays, "May the god Ta open my mouth, and may the god of my city loose the swaddlings, even the swaddlings which are over my mouth." The chapter of making Osiris to possess memory in the underworld and the chapter of giving a heart to Osiris in the underworld carry the process of rebirth 2 stages further. Then begin the chapters of the dangers that the lone voyager has to face and overcome on his way to the throne of the awesome judge. The Book of the Dead was buried with the mummy as a guidebook to the perils of the difficult way, and chapters were recited at the time of burial. At one stage in the preparation of the mummy, the heart of the dead man was cut open, and basalt scarab in a gold setting, symbolic of the sun, was placed therein with the prayer, "My heart, my mother, my heart, my mother, my heart of transformations." This is prescribed in the chapter of not letting the heart of Osiris be taken from him in the underworld. Next we read in the chapter of beating back the crocodile, "Get thee back, O crocodile that dwellest in the west. Get thee back, O crocodile its claim to be the son of the Father. I shine from the second boat. I am Horus, the son of Osiris, and I have come to see my father Osiris. The chapter of living by air in the underworld, and the chapter of driving back the serpent Rurik in the underworld carry the hero still further along his way, and then comes the great proclamation of the chapter of driving away the slaughterings which are performed in the underworld. My hair is the hair of Nu, my face is the face of the disk, my eyes are the eyes of Hathor, my ears are the ears of Apuat, my nose is the nose of Kentikaz, my lips are the lips of Anapu, my teeth are the teeth of Serget, my neck is the neck of the divine goddess Isis, my hands are the hands of Ba-Neb-Tatu, my forearms are the forearms of Neith, the lady of Sais, my backbone is the backbone of Suti, my phallus is the phallus of Osiris, my loins are the loins of the lords of Karaba, my chest is the chest of the mighty one of terror. There is no member of my body that is not of the member of some god. The god Thoth shielded my body altogether, and I am Re, day by day. I shall not be dragged back by the arm, and none shall lay violent hold upon my hands. As in the much latter Buddhist image of the Bodhisattva, within whose nimbus stand 500 transformed Buddhas, each attended by 500 Bodhisattvas, and each of these in turn by innumerable gods. So here the soul comes to the fullness of its stature and power through assimilating the deities that formerly had been thought to be separate from the outside of it. They are projections of its own being, and it returns to its true state. They are all resumed. In the chapter of snuffing the air and of having the mystery over the water of the underworld, the soul proclaims itself to be the guardian of the cosmic egg. Hail, thou sycamore tree of the goddess Nut, grant thou to me of the water and of the air which dwell in thee. I embrace the throne which is in Hermopolis, and I watch and guard the egg of the great cackler. It grows. It groweth, I grow. It liveth, I live. It snuffeth the air, I snuff the air. I, the Osiris in triumph. There followed the chapter of not letting the soul of a man be taken from him in the underworld, and the chapter of drinking water in the underworld, and of not being burnt by fire. And then we come to the great culmination, the chapter of coming forth by day in the underworld, wherein the soul and the universal being are known to be one. I am yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and I have the power to be born a second time. I am the divine hidden soul who created the gods, and who giveth sepulchral meals into the denizens of the underworld, of Amentet and of heaven. I am the rudder of the east, the possessor of two divine faces, wherein his beams are seen. I am the Lord of the men who are raised up, and the Lord who cometh forth out of the darkness, and whose forms of existence are of those houses wherein are the dead. Hail, ye two hawks, who are perched upon your resting places, who hearken unto the things which are said by him, who guide the bear to the hidden place, who lead along Ray, and who follow him into the uppermost place of the shrine which is in the celestial heights. Hail, Lord of the shrine which standeth in the middle of the earth. He is I, and I am he, and Ta hath covered his sky with crystal. Thereafter the soul may range the universe at will, as is shown in the chapter of lifting up the feet, of the coming forth upon the earth, the chapter of journeying to Heliopolis and receiving a throne therein, the chapter of a man transforming himself Sirs, after the lapse of 100,000 years, the cycle is to be renewed. This world will be destroyed. Also, the mighty ocean will dry up, and this broad earth, and Sumeru, the monarch of mountains, will he burned up and destroyed up to the Brahma, which will the destruction of the world extend. Therefore, sirs, cultivate friendliness, cultivate compassion, joy, and indifference. Wait on your mothers, wait on your fathers, and honor your elders among your kinfolk. This is called the cyclic uproar. The Mayan version of the world end is represented in an illustration covering the last page of the Dresden Codex. This ancient manuscript records the cycles of the planets. From those deduces calculations of vast cosmic cycles. The serpent numbers, which appear towards the close of the text, so called because of the appearance in them of a serpent symbol, represent world periods of some 34,000 years, 12.5 million days, and these are recorded again and again. In these well-nigh inconceivable periods, all of the smaller units may be regarded as coming at last to a more or less exact close. What matter a few score years one way or the other in this virtual eternity? Finally, on the last page of the manuscript is depicted the destruction of the world for which the highest numbers have paved the way. Here we see the rain serpent stretching across the sky, belching forth torrents of water. Again, great streams of water gush from the suns and moon. The old goddess, she of the tiger claws and the forbidden aspect, the malevolent patroness of the floods and cloudbursts, overturns the bowl of the heavenly waters. The crossbones, dread symbol of death, decorate her skirt, and writhing snake clowns her head. Below, with downward pointed spear, symbolic of the universal destruction, the black god stalks abroad, a screeching owl raging on his fearsome head. Here, indeed, is portrayed with graphic touch the final engulfing cataclysm. One of the strongest representations appears in the poetic Edda of the ancient Vikings. Othin Wotan, the chief of the gods, has asked to know what will be the doom of himself and his pantheon, and the wise woman, a personification of the world mother herself, Destiny, articulates, "Let him hear. Brothers shall fight and fell each other, and sisters' sons shall kinship stain. Hard is it on earth with mighty wardom, axe time, sword time, shields are sundered, wind time, wolf time, ere the world falls, nor ever shall men each other spare. In the land of the giants, Jonatim, a fair red rooster shall crow, in Valhalla the rooster golden comb, a rust-red bird in hell, the dog Garm at the cliff cave, and the entrance to the world of the dead shall open his great jaws and howl. The earth shall tremble, the crags and trees be torn asunder, and the sea gush forth upon the land. The fetters of those monsters who were chained back in the beginning shall all burst. Fenris wolf shall run free, and advance with lower jaw against the earth, upper against the heavens. He would gape yet more if there were room for it. Fire shall blaze from his eyes and nostrils. The world-enveloping serpent of the cosmic ocean shall rise in giant wrath, and advance beside the wolf upon the land, blowing venom so that it shall sprinkle all the air and water. Naglfar fire shall advance from the south. When the watchmen of the gods shall blow the shrieking horn, the warrior sons of Othin will be summoned to the final battle. From all quarters the gods, giants, demons, dwarves, and elves will be riding for the field. The world ash Yggdrasil will tremble, and nothing then will without fear in heaven and earth. Othin shall advance against the wolf, Thor against the serpent, Tyr against the dog, the worst monster of all, and Freyr against Surt, the man of flame. Thor shall slay the serpent, stride 10 paces from that spot, and because of the venom's blow fall dead to the earth. Othin shall be swallowed by the wolf, and thereafter Vidar, setting one foot upon the lower jaw, shall take the upper jaw of the wolf in his hand and tear asunder the gullet. Loki shall slay Heimdallr and be slain by him. Surt shall cast fire over the earth and burn all the world. The sun turns black, earth sinks in the sea, the hot stars down from the heaven are whirled, fierce grows, and the steam and the life-feeding flame, till fire leaps high about heaven itself. Now Garm howls loud before Ginpeller, the fetters will burst, and the wolf run free. Much do I know, and more can see, of the fate of the gods, the mighty in fight. And as Jesus sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all the nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another, and many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to the time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, and those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that it were possible they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and the shineth even together his elect from the four winds, from one end of